was the first meeting in Week 10. Niners-Seahawks. The rematch is Sunday in primetime. It's the game of the week, the only one where there is a lot on the line for both teams. Omar Ruiz with us now from the host city, where the Seahawks have been preparing a new-look offense this week. What's the latest there on the running backs?
Hi, Lindsay. Well, Pete Carroll saying that Marshawn Lynch's return went seamlessly this week. And based on what they saw at practice, they could not tell that Marshawn Lynch hasn't played since last season. Same could be said for now backup running back Robert Turbin. Pete Carroll saying they won't have any hesitation with how they use them in this offense, but he would not give a depth chart or say how much Marshawn Lynch would play. As Robert Turbin told me, their focus wasn't on learning the entire playbook this week, simply on the portion of it that'll be relevant in their game plan versus the 49ers. The defensive game plan will include Jadeveon Clowney and Shaquille Griffin, both of whom have missed the past couple games to get their top pass rusher and top cover man, as Pete Carroll described them, will be huge for this game. Star safety Quandre Diggs, who's battling an ankle injury, is officially questionable, so the Seahawks defense, which has been so banged up toward the latter half of the year, once again getting close to becoming whole.
Thank you, Omar. A look at the clinching scenarios here. Pretty cut and dry as far as the NFC West is concerned. Whoever wins the game also wins the division. But that's not all that's at stake here. There's also a 1 seed on the line. If the Niners win, they clinch that. If the Seahawks win, then the Niners drop to 5, and the Seahawks can get to 1, though they would need the Packers and Saints to both lose. What is going to happen? That is the question. Maurice Jones-Drew and Terrell Davis have some thoughts. Who do you like, MJD?
Well, so I like the Seahawks. One, because it's in Seattle, right? You're getting your top defenders back, but this is all going to fall on Russell Wilson. And that's the situation. It comes down to he has to play the way he played in on that Monday night game. He has to play great. He has to throw the ball. You can't play like you did last week against the Cardinals. You can't have a bunch of sacks and those things. The other thing is, so TD, we were at this game, weren't we?
I was there.
He has to do this type. He has to make these type of plays. If you make those type of plays, then that happens. If you don't, if you're not out there being the Russell Wilson that we've all seen, then the Niners are going to win. They'll be the 1 seed. You have to go through Santa Clara. But I like the Seahawks in the game because it's in Seattle, and the fact that they have a new attitude, some new players, and they're getting their defensive guys back. I think they'll be fine.
And I'll add to that. I agree with you with your analysis on Russell Wilson.
Thank you.
And I think in part because the Niners defense, right, the last couple of weeks, this defense that was so good early in the season, they've given up an average of 35 points per game over the last 3 games. They only have 3 sacks in that span as well. So the defense that was getting after people, sacking the quarterback, keeping the score low so that it was hard for you to beat the Niners, they're not that defense anymore. And they have injuries. Julian Taylor, I think he's out again. DJ Jones went out 2 weeks ago, so they don't have that run stopper either. So to me, it's going to come down to, can the 49ers throw the ball with Jimmy Garoppolo with the pressure that he's going to have from the Seahawks? Because last week he was harassed by the Rams. I think they hit him 6 times. That's a lot.
Neither of you have mentioned the running backs for the Seahawks. You've both mentioned Russell Wilson. 12 to 15 carries from Marshawn after being out of football for a year. Does that sound doable?
That seems like a lot to me. That's just a lot. 15, that's something you give a back who's been playing in this league for the entire season, or somebody who's conditioned.
He's fine.
I don't know. Listen,
okay,
so one day of practice, right? A few days of practice.
It's a week of practice. He did the physical.
Of course he's going to tell you how great he looks in practice.
He looks great. 15 carries isn't a lot, TD.
He's going to put that out there so you think
I
that.
can tell when you're being sarcastic or not.
He knows he don't believe what he's saying right now.
First of all, TD, first and foremost,
so sarcastic.
I held out for
Focus on MJD. Camera, get closer.
I held out
for
a whole offseason. And I came back and had 23 carries and like 80 yards. It's not that big of a deal. The difference is TD is just 100 years old.
How old were you then, by the way?
I was 27.
Okay, what is Marshawn right now?
He's 33. He's off. He's fresh.
Same.
TD, you're talking like it's the 90s. It's 2000. It's 2020 now. Come on, give it the time.
Okay.
All right.
For the time.
So one thing you agree on here is that you both like the Seahawks. That would be very interesting for the NFC. Niners would not only have to play next week, they'd have to go on the road to either Philadelphia or Dallas. Over in the AFC, Patriots and Chiefs are guaranteed at least one home game. What they don't know yet is when it will be. Both teams are playing for the bye this week, though the team in the driver's seat for it is New England. Beat the Dolphins, who they beat 43-0 back in week 2, and the 2 seed is theirs.
Yeah, we made a lot of progress, and this is an important time of the year. So as important as the first game of the year is, so is the last game. It's really essentially a playoff game for us. I'm excited for this team to take the field on Sunday. We've got a lot to play for. It's a huge game for us. And really to get to 13-3 is a great accomplishment. It's very hard to do. So, we got a lot at stake, and we got to go play like it.
Game's in Foxborough, where Mike Giardi joins us now.
No quarterback has started all 16 regular season games at the age of 42. That is until Tom Brady does that very thing on Sunday here at Gillette Stadium. Brady said he had no idea he would become the first. He said he prides himself on always being available for the football team. And indeed he has this year, although it has not been that easy. In fact, dealing with that sore right elbow, he spent a lot of time with his personal body coach, Alex Guerrero, getting that thing right. And in fact, maybe you saw it get right last Saturday against the Buffalo Bills. Brady completing nearly 80% of his passes. He said he would like to build on that momentum as the team heads towards the postseason.
Falcons have the Bucs on Sunday, and they were told today that their coach's job will not be at stake in that game. The Falcons announcing that Dan Quinn will be back next year, as will general manager Thomas Dimitroff. Also announced today, Raheem Morris will be the defensive coordinator next season. And Tiffany Blackman caught up with Quinn today about the news.
Coach, we know you have owner Arthur Blank's full support, but we haven't really seen anything like this when it comes to your players. They were so vocal about their love for you. What was that experience like for you throughout this season, knowing that?
Well, this opportunity is 100% because of them, and not all coaches get to see their team fight for them, let alone say they are. And so that made me incredibly proud, to be a part of that group that they wanted to fight and say so. And so those are things as a coach that you don't see all the time, and makes you really proud and very humble for sure. This has been the most challenging year of my career and the toughest one, but also one that I've learned the most from. And so now we get to apply and fix some of those issues and those mistakes, and not everybody gets a chance to do that, so that lights us up pretty good.
A few injury updates for you that could have an impact on this week's games. Steelers trying to get into the playoffs will not have Marquise Pouncey or James Conner. Terry McLaurin is out for the Redskins. That could affect the Cowboys' chances of getting in. They play the Reds, wrap up the 4 seed in the NFC with a win over the Giants and the Niners and Seahawks. That should be great in prime time, with massive implications for the NFC, which is where we begin this week's Burning Questions.
It's
TD.
on fire today.
You're up first. Who is most likely to play spoiler in the NFC?
All right, so when you say spoiler, I mean, I'm looking at it as a team that could take a team in the NFC from being either a first seed to a 5th seed. And that is the Seattle.
That's one specific
That's the one.
scenario.
Well, that's it. Or you can knock them out the playoffs. But as I look at the matchups, Green Bay's not losing to Detroit, right? New Orleans not going to lose to Carolina. So I think the top 2 seeds, or those two are going to be the top 2. Seattle losing or beating San Francisco, to me, is the upset. That's a spoiler one, because it takes the Niners from being a number 1 seed with the bye, a home game, to a 5th seed. To now you have no bye, no home game, and that team is beat up. Emmanuel Sanders hadn't had a bye all year long, so he has to go through an entire season no bye. So that's why I say that's a significant thing, Seattle beating San Francisco.
So, by the way, if the Saints won and the Packers won, then the Packers and the Saints would be the 1 and the 2.
1 and 2.
In this scenario that you just said. How about the AFC, Mo? Who's the spoiler on that side of the bracket?
Well, to me, it's going to be the Tennessee Titans. Not because if they win, they get in, but then they're going to knock out, obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers no matter what they do, and then they're going to knock out my Oakland Raiders as well. So, not only are they going to spoil it for those, they're going to spoil it for 2 franchises, and then guess what? When they get in the playoffs, they'll be the 6th seed. They're going to play the Kansas City Chiefs. And the last time they played, they went to Kansas City and they won. The Tennessee Titans are the scariest team right now, I feel like, after the Baltimore Ravens.
1 seed is set in the AFC. 2 teams can be the 2 seed. It's either going to be the Patriots or the Chiefs in that order of priority. Who gets it, TD?
You said either Patriots or the Chiefs. It's the Patriots. They're playing the Miami Dolphins in their own stadium. Listen, that old Miami Miracle thing that happened in Miami a few years ago, it's not happening. What we saw last week with the Patriots offense, it is back. This team understands what time it is, what time of year it is. They are ascending. You don't want to play them in their home field. They understand how big this game is. They want to capture that number 2 seed. They will beat the Dolphins.
A couple of records could fall this weekend. Like Strahan's single-season sack record, Chandler Jones of the Cardinals is in position to potentially take that out. He's 3.5 away from tying. Does he do it?
it's going to be tough to do. The last time they played the Rams, he had a half a sack. I called that game, and it kind of got out of hand pretty quickly there for him. I think the Arizona Cardinals are going the right way. I just don't know if he'll be able to get 4 sacks in this game. I think when you talk about the Rams and what they're trying to do, they're trying to win on a